You know what I think the secret sauce in that is? A lot of men don't know what fills up their tank. I think they don't know what fills it up. And I think also they're not willing to pay the price for what it takes to figure that out. I think it's a lot easier, a lot safer to chase the smaller story. I think it's a lot easier to worry about other things than worrying about what fills up my gas tank. What helps me become the man God's created me to be, but also what does it look like to me be a better husband, a better father. I think a lot of men just don't know.
It's like living out in suburbia, working some job that you don't even like, just so you can continue living out in suburbia, and that just being the whole life. I just know multiple guys that they don't do anything at all that is exhilarating or that fills their tank or that feels like an adventure. But I know a lot of people that don't have to do that, but do it anyway, just motivated by fear and comfort. I would rather do some of the things that I'm a little bit afraid to do, that I'm a little bit anxious about, but look back at my life and not have a lot of things that I regret.
There may be all kinds of fear here and other reasons why not to go do this, but I think this is one of the #1 reasons why I should go do it.
But even when Ben asked me about it initially, I think my knee-jerk reaction was actually to say no, which is crazy. But that feeling was there. And I'm sure that that's what a lot of people experience.
And I think Alaska is somewhat of an Ebenezer in some ways to say that this kind of stuff like really matters and really cultivates more of my identity of who I really am as a man. Flying in on a red eye was pretty wild for me. I have not ever done that in my entire life. Getting into an airport at 4 a.m. and just figuring it out. I was not prepared for that.
Rock and roll.
I look at Ben, he's sleeping on the floor. I look at you, you're in a bench that doesn't fit. I'm looking at Kyle, and he's just kind of being Kyle. He falls where he falls. And so it's just kind of funny because I'm going into the wilderness, but I'm looking for a place of comfort. And I find it interesting that that's the place that I go.
Yeah, it's like, it's one thing to say, I want to go on an adventure to a wild place. It's another thing to actually get on the plane and go on the adventure to the wild place.
When the primal senses are kicking in, like, where do I go?
Yeah.
And it's not far from the psalmist, you know, like when the primal sense of safety and insecurity and control kick in, you always see David, you know, lamenting or crying out or running to what he thinks is going to give him those things,
Yeah.
and it doesn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of where I come into the trip, thinking, you know, what I'm about to receive, what I'm about to do. I think for me, it was a lot of mystery, a very wild place, the unknown a little bit. As we board this plane to Kenai, I think we're all snickering, including our great captain, about the safety orientation that we got on the plane before he just took off. And I looked down and figured out that I was over water. you know,
It's like, yeah,
35
the
minutes
survival
at the 40
equipment is in the back.
Yeah.
I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
What survival equipment? I think the flight was like 30 minutes from Anchorage to Kenai in the dark. I was a little bit bummed about that because I was hoping that we'd be able to see more of the scenery, but little did I know we would get plenty of time in the air to see the scenery. But yeah, we landed in Kenai, and then all I remember was trying to figure out what the heck was going on and where the heck we were supposed to go. I mean, we had to rent a car. We didn't know what rentals were going to be available. It's not like there's a ton of options in small town Alaska.
We're taking these unnamed roads for a while. I feel like I'm in the back seat, so I can't see anything. And we end up at the guide house. Super great cabin. Got a lot of dudes that know how to fish except us. And we're asking, hey, teach us about steelhead.
The boat isn't very big. I mean, it's little. Say for a
Yeah,
30 to 35 inch fish, it's not very big.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I almost still think of it as if you were to throw a little dry fly for 18, 20 inch brown trout or anything else. They'll still pull out easy, but go ahead, hang on to that. So, when that bobber goes down, go ahead, give me a set. Yeah. Yep, set the hook. So you're right there, right? Yeah. So let a little bit more line out off your reel. Perfect, right there. All right, so go ahead, pull the rod up a little bit. That fish sometimes, as soon as you hook him, he's gonna be like this, then he'll come straight back at you. Okay. It'll be that fast. Yeah. Okay. So you have to have that hand on that line. As soon as you set the hook, you want your hand right here, ready to go. So like I said, he's gonna be here, rod tip up, he's gonna be running, and then he's gonna come straight back at you. You're gonna have to strip, and then he's gonna go back again, start jumping, doing his thing. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, and I remember one of the guys was asking us, you know, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And I was like, bro, I don't know the first thing about steelhead fishing. All I know is that they're incredibly hard to catch and they live in cold water. Like, that's it. And then this guy kind of bumbles down the steps, and I didn't know who he was. He had a big beard, he had a t-shirt on that said, "I am the liquor." And it was Justin Miller.
Oh, yeah.
See the teal on that one? Yeah, they're fucking beautiful in this river. They're
And me being the bass fisherman that I am, like, I just didn't realize who he was and all the incredible steelhead fishing that he's done. Turns out Yeti has made a film about him that has like 250,000 views and all this stuff. And dude is a big deal when it comes to steelhead fishing. And it turns out he was gonna be our guide for like 3 or 4 days while we were there.
Dude, he just ran into that grass and just turned. Yeah.
One of the things he was talking about was just how important it is to listen to the guides. And he was basically saying, look, if you'll go out there and just do what we're telling you to do, we can put you guys on some fish. And the thing I had to learn is that with a lot of the fishing that we were doing, it wasn't about making a 60-foot cast with a double haul. It was about putting it right there, right now, 10 yards from the boat. Yeah. Exactly where the guide was telling you to. It was just a lot different ball game than what I've done in the past.
And mending the line, bro. Mend the line. Anytime you're casting, mend the line.
Yeah.
And you're never not gonna hear him say, mend the line.
Yeah.
Nice. Before we're getting on the boat with this guy, and Ben and all his camera equipment, it's us, and he looks at all of us, and Ben's like, you know, telling him, hey, when we catch fish, we don't need you to throw them back, we just need to get some film footage. And Justin looks up at me and says, bro, you realize we're fishing for steelhead, right? And I'm like, what do you mean? If you catch them.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that was kind of where I was called to more with my opinion of steelhead. Was like, okay, like, okay, maybe we're not guaranteed to catch them.
So we're not gonna catch 20 fish today, is what you're saying.
My plan was to catch 20 steelhead, and that did not happen.
No, we show up for that first day of fishing, we're with Justin, and we haven't slept, man.
Fresh off the concrete floor.
I did not know the first thing about steelhead fishing, first of all. And then also, I mean, I was going on like 3 brain cells all day. And so Justin was doing an awesome job coaching us up on, you know, cast here, mend this way, you know, here's what you need to do to get on fish. And it was like information overload. I mean, I was really struggling to keep up with everything that he was telling us to do, even though it was exactly what we needed to be doing.
And I'm constantly reminded of that every time I cast. He's like, cast, and I'm trying.
Yeah.
Mend the line.
Yeah.
Which way, bro? You know, like, and so I felt like, you know, it was constant machine gunning, but that's how you do that.
Yeah. It's like, okay, we're at this stretch of the river, hit it right there, right now, boom, go.
This is where fish are.
And I think Justin was saying it was like machine gun fishing, like just boom, 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 put it right there, right now.
Right. And anytime, you know, you felt that your rod was getting some, you know, motion, you know, some, you know, felt like something was, whether it was a rock or whatever, you know, you're constantly like, oh, is this a fish?
Yeah. Yeah, hook sets are free.
Yeah. Also, you know, these fish, they're not eating your lure because they're hungry. They're eating it because they're mad. So there's a set point where you have to be on, otherwise you don't get the fish.
Yeah.
Like,
And it was a grind. I mean, that first section in that afternoon, I feel like it was probably 4 hours or so.
That's a long time.
And just boom, 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 boom. And then, I mean, the thing about it that was super helpful is Justin and the other guys were just super committed to helping us catch a fish, you know? And so we floated that section, take the boats out, go to another section, and then float it. And I mean, I think we were on the water till 8:30 or 8:45 at night.
Easily.
I mean, it was basically until we just ran out of daylight, and that's when we quit fishing. I feel like day one is where my appreciation for those fish really came about. I mean, honestly, going to Alaska, man, I probably watched more videos about how to stay away from brown bears than I did how to catch steelhead, if I'm just being totally honest. And I just didn't know a whole lot about him getting there. But him just explaining the life cycle, and I mean, basically anything you want to know about steelhead, Justin Miller can tell you. It was so cool just learning more about that species of fish. I ended day one realizing that this is an incredible fish that I want to catch, and it's not going to be easy, and it's going to take some work. But yeah, I mean, I think one of the coolest things about being out there with Alaska Steelhead Company was just that they have a helicopter and a pilot on site that they have complete use of. Man, I remember that first day that we got on the helicopter and we went out to Narnia, which is what, you know, what they were calling this just kind of wild place that they hadn't even taken a whole lot of people yet.
Yeah.
And man, just being able to fly out there, it was just breathtaking.
So this is an R66 turbine model helicopter. It's a 4-passenger, 1-pilot seat. If you want to come over this way, I'm going to show you how to open these doors. You have to twist this knob back in, or the Venturi effect will kind of suck it closed. If you. We're all going to be wearing life jackets today because we're flying over the ocean.
That's
No,
really-
Brandon wanted to bring one, and I was like, you don't need a check bag, but he's like, but I really want to bring a gun.
Is there anything loaded in that?
Look, Brandon's like, I'm all right, guys. We got this. They only have, what, 5 chances? Hey, bear!
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm struggling.
Yeah, just very surreal.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was cool that we were able to go out there without a guide and just kind of, it was just us and the pilot.
Yeah.
And kind of go out there on our own.
And it happened to be home to a bear viewing lodge. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. And what did we see? Like 3 or 4 brown bears?
Yeah, chilling.
remember.
Yeah, chilling on the edge of this like lake that was formed from a glacier, right?
Yeah.
A glacier that was just right up the mountain that you could see. So yeah, very wild place because
Yeah.
you've got glacier, you've got lake, and then you've got river
Mm-hmm.
where you're fishing.
Yeah.
So obvious that there's bears.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the funny things about that is, worried as we were about encountering bears, we mess around and hang a silver.
There you go. There you go. There you go. You got him. Very nice.
We're like, you know what? We've been fishing, we've been trying to catch fish, you know, hadn't had a ton of luck. Start self-guiding ourselves, and then lands, you know, a silver.
That day really felt like an adventure to me. I mean, even the helicopter ride was cool. Us all loading up, it's just us and the pilot and flying over to this place. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, I've never had the opportunity to do anything like that before, and to experience it was just really, really special. And for the first half of it, I had my phone out the whole time trying to take pictures and things like that. And then I realized that there's no way that I could capture any of it anyway, and so I might as well just enjoy it.
I mean, and that's what I was, you know, confronted with, was the fact that there's such a beautiful place.
Yeah.
I want to take as much footage as possible, but I literally couldn't summarize it.
Yeah.
Like waterfalls, blueberry bushes, glaciers, mountains, I mean, lakes.
Yeah. That's then feeding into the rivers and creeks that are then going out into the ocean, and it was just.
And the fact that
breathtaking.
freaking steelhead, you know, like this freaking fish is gonna come up,
Yeah.
you know, from the Pacific back into the river. I think the most surreal thing that happened on this trip that most people knowing our story probably wouldn't be surprised by.
Yeah.
But I think I am surprised by. Again, like I probably shouldn't be, but I am, is the fact that what would happen on this small, unlikely creek, yeah, would be the best part of the trip.
The guides took us out to a creek that they fish a lot and have gotten some good results from. And that was the one, it's kind of a toss-up for me between the helicopter ride out to, you know, what they were calling Narnia versus that trip that morning in terms of what felt the most like what I was expecting in Alaska. You know, we hiked in and kind of go down into this ravine, and there's thick brush everywhere, and we're basically walking on game trails to get to the different fishing spots that we were going to. And you know, it was a really cool place, and it kind of, for me, it felt like going back to our roots a little bit because it was a small creek and a small place. It just felt a little bit more like the places that we fish back home. But obviously, you've got this majestic beauty in Alaska that you just don't have anywhere else in the world.
But you know, we had the first good day of just terrible weather.
It was rainy, it was cold.
Right, it's rainy.
That was the first day where me and you were both like, bro, I'm kind of cold.
Yeah, I'm kind of cold. I can't stay dry. And
we started fishing. One of the guys kind of got you set up in one spot, and then I went probably, I don't know, 100 feet downstream, something like that, and they got me working a different hole. And I mean, I probably hadn't been fishing for 5 minutes, and I hooked up on something.
Okay. Here we go. Huh? Yeah. She doesn't even know she's hooked yet. Fish on! Woo! Okay.
But yeah, so we're sitting there in a foot of water with this massive fish that's been living in salt water for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and he's acting like it. I mean, he's flying through that creek. And honestly, my first thought was, don't mess it up. You know, like, we've been working hard. We've been working so hard to try to get hooked up on one of these fish. I was like, okay, don't freak out, Brandon.
Right.
Like, just do what they've been telling you to do.
Do I need to put any more pressure on her, or just okay? Just keep it.
And
yeah.
So that's what I was doing.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
I was working it, and the guys were giving me feedback like, yeah, you're doing exactly what you needed to be doing. Keep doing that. You know,
keep tension on it.
Yeah, keep tension on the line. All this sort of thing. So I'm sitting there, and I've got this fish hooked up, and we're getting really close to getting it in the net. And the guy, Cody, starts walking out there with the net, and he's about to try to net my fish. And then upstream, I hear you guys freaking out. And at first I thought, yeah, they're just freaking out because we're about to net this fish.
Let him run. Yep, let him run. Yep, hands off the reel.
But then I turn around and I look, and you're hooked up with a
Let him
fish
run?
too. Like your rod is just like bent over. I thought you were gonna break it.
Yeah, buddy!
I thought, holy smokes, like we're doubled up on steelhead right now.
Let's go! Man, he took off. Keep reeling while he's chilling. So let him just kind of chill.
Let you know she's hooked.
Oh, okay. Damn, he's like a submarine. So just keep holding.
You know, for them to say these fish are unlike any other fish is a very accurate statement.
Damn!
And again, I'm not an expert fly fisherman, but when I hang something and it completely strips the line from my reel and busts my fingernail in the process,
Yeah.
like
Your fingers
yeah,
are bleeding.
Yeah, there's blood going everywhere. I'm like, bro, like he's like, hold the line, and I'm like, you know, I got it pinched with my index finger, but I'm like looking at my finger to see if it's okay. But this thing just completely strips the line, just zoop, you know, and takes off like on nitrous, you know. So very similar, like just mean, aggressive. It come out of the water shaking its head like walking. Yours is
Yeah.
getting netted, and mine's down there by yours doing this.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. It was like, I don't mess this up. Man. Like, if I mess this up, we're all, you know, like, oh, you know, Brandon and Chris could have caught steelhead. But I'm also like of
no
course this is
pressure.
expected. You know, I just have never experienced like a fish like that. That will, once it figures out it's hooked, it takes off 100 yards
Yeah.
the other way
Yeah.
and just strips
Sheesh.
your line. Like
Yeah.
you're not even touching it.
Yeah.
Let him go? Or reel? Okay.
Dude, that's a big one too.
Oh. He's moving, but my God! Do I need to turn my rod towards him with the net?
And then the tension becomes, well, I've got to get both of these fish in the net for Cody.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know now he's got some pressure on him to think. So as hard as it is to get them hooked and then to get them to a place of getting them in the net,
Yeah.
now I got to get two of them in the net.
Yeah.
He's a strong ass fish. Damn. He's a, yeah, but he. I mean, I'm trying, do I let him take it? Let's go!
Yes,
All right!
yes, bro.
We've got two steelhead in the net, and we're all freaking out. And I just think it's so cool. I wonder how often that happens, you know? And so I turned to one of the guys and said, bro, this is cool. Like, how often does this happen? Because, dude, this is the first time this season with all the clients that we've taken out that anybody has doubled up on steelhead. Like, these fish are hard to catch.
Fired up. Hell yeah. All right.
Both look up at me real quick. That'll at least be a kick.
Yeah, okay. And they're gonna kick off?
Yep. Just keep holding them in the water until they're ready to go. So give them a couple measures too. Move them back and forth in the water.
Beautiful.
Good work, guys.
Heck yeah, man. That's awesome. Yes.
Oh, I can't feel my hand anymore.
Dude,
Man,
that's awesome.
Thank y'all. It's great. It's a great work.
Doubling
All
up
right.
on steelhead. That's worth the trip, man.
And then for me, it just kind of sunk in of, well, of course it would happen to me and Chris. You know, like I just think about our story and all the things that we've done together, whether it's going to school together, being friends in school, our faith journey and just how interconnected that's been. I mean, literally being discipled together. And it was like, oh yeah, of course me and Chris would double up on, and not just double up on steelhead, but my first steelhead and your first steelhead. That was just an incredibly special moment.
Yeah, kind of similar to you. You know, I had turned to one of the guides, and he's like, dude, this is a special thing.
Yeah.
And I want y'all to know that.
I think that's one of the moments where it really sunk in for me that this is just a total gift from God.
That's gonna happen. There we go. Heck yeah, man.
That something like this would happen, that we would show up and double up on these fish. And that, I mean, that one moment made flying 4,400 miles worth it, you know? I mean, I would do it again 100 times over to experience something like that.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about the dark side of masculinity could be, you know, just as a waste of time because it doesn't pad my bank account and just making me feel like I got to go do more to be validated.
Mm-hmm.
But I think being able to be in a posture of just participating in something where I am receiving and just being, like, most people look at that and like, that's crazy, that feels unsafe, I shouldn't do that. And it's like, you know what? Like, the reason why I should do that is because it is more productive for me to figure out who I am and receive more of who God's called me to be. Doing things in community, that's what real wealth is. Just even taking the chance to go fly fishing. Like, I feel like as close as I am to you, if I would have never taken the chance to even fly fish with you, I feel like I'm missing out on a part of who you are and who God's called you to be. I have experienced so much more of God's generosity and his heart towards me and going on a trip like this. And it's like, if I didn't go to Alaska and if I didn't even take the chance to go freaking fly fishing, right? If I wasn't doing that, where I would be tempted to replace it with, you know, striving and toiling, and where I'd be tempted to replace it with escapism or escape hatches, you know, like doom scrolling or whatever you want to name it, like just how God has filled my cup in that way. And it's counterintuitive. It's like, dude, you think participating in something like that, that's not striving and toiling, is gonna help me as a man? And it's like, absolutely. Then if I X number more dollars, or if I were to, you know, do something more typical to what a man should be doing.
Well, I think a lot of times when we think about the cost of adventure, I've watched a lot of films about somebody going to Alaska or Belize or wherever and thought, and there's no way that I could do something like that. It's like there's just no way that I could quite get there on my own. And I was talking to Catherine about it, and she said, Brandon, there's a fishing rod in the closet. Just go fishing. Just try it. Just go fishing in the creek close to our house and just see what it's like. And maybe you don't like fishing that way, but just try it and maybe you do. And I did. And that's really what put me on the trajectory of just seeing the value of getting outdoors and experiencing adventure. And a lot of guys feel like there's this huge cost to be able to do it. And I think what I would want to say to those guys is like, yeah, there's a big cost to go to Alaska, but I guarantee you there's some water close to your house that you can go wade around with a spinning rod or an inexpensive fly rod or whatever you have, and just get out there and explore and experience nature. And it doesn't have to be this crazy thing, you know, it can be just something really simple. And I think if there's anything that I could communicate, it would be that what made Alaska the most special for me was the people that I went to Alaska with. And as cool as that place is, man, I would pick a life that's characterized by community and connection above any adventure that I could imagine.
Anything that you can do with people from a place of deep friendship makes it worth it. I think I've been most impacted by just the connection. I mean, I feel like one of the crises of masculinity is the absence of deep friendship. And I feel like it's something that doesn't get a lot of airtime, but I feel like it's a life raft. I know it has saved me from multiple heartaches, and I think it's saving me even currently.
That's actually what all this is about. Not inches and pounds, not putting some specific fish in the net. It's going on those adventures and experiencing those things in the context of people that I just love deeply. You know?
Yeah. It didn't start from a place of, hey, you're gonna get to go to a great place and do some cool fishing, bro. You know, like, it started a few miles from the house. And it started around a table sharing about how you've been impacted by fishing a few miles from your house.
It's that conversation of relief versus restoration. Mm-hmm. Like there's this list of things that give me relief, and there's this list of things that give me restoration. And the things that give me relief are often a lot easier to get, but not nearly as valuable, and they don't do anything to actually restore my soul. Whereas the things that are actually restorative, they usually take some work and take some discipline, but they actually give me some energy for the rest of my life.
I think the fact that you're uncovering this desire for adventure, I think that's where you're just onto something. I think that helps us just become more alive.
You can grow up, make new ones, but the truth is that we grow up, then we go back then. There's nothing like old friends. 'Cause you can't make old friends.
Yes! Let's go! Heck yeah, man!